Don't be so sure that we're immune from the vaccine tyranny sweeping across continental Europe and many so-called liberal Western democracies. First, it was New Zealand's Be Kind authoritarian Jacinda Ardern who boasted that the unvaccinated were second-class citizens in their own country.
So you basically said this is going to be like, well, it's almost like, you probably don't see it like this, the two different classes of people. If you're vaccinated or if you're unvaccinated, you have all these rights. If you are vaccinated...
That is what it is, so yep. Yep.
Then Austria became the first country to make vaccination mandatory and enforceable by law, causing this widespread civil unrest. Next, we had Canadian PM Justin Trudeau, Mr. Blackface himself, saying that anyone who was unvaccinated was a misogynist and racist.
Yes, we will get out of this pandemic by vaccination. We all know people who are a little bit hesitant. We will continue to try to convince them. But there are also people who are fiercely against vaccination. They are extremists who don't believe in science. They're often misogynists, also often racists. It's a small group that muscles in. And we have to make a choice in terms of leaders, in terms of the country. Do we tolerate these people?
This week, that nasty little oddball Emmanuel Macron said that he wants to, excuse my language here, quote, piss off the unvaccinated French population with fresh legislation to ban them from public venues. He told a newspaper, I'm generally opposed to the French being pissed off. I complain all the time about administrative blockages, but when it comes to the unvaccinated, I'm very keen to piss them off. So we're going to do it. The end. That's our strategy. And in the past 24 hours, Italy has become the latest illiberal democracy to force over 50s to be jabbed by law or face suspension from work from the middle of next month. When asked about the new Italian law on GBNews this morning, the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps here said this.
We live in a free country and we're not going to be pinning people down and putting vaccinations into their arms, albeit that if you're not vaccinated, there are often additional hassles.
Additional hassles, that's right. The British booster police are coming for you, folks. The Times reports today that ministers on the all-powerful COVID-O committee have already had discussions over plans to deny Brits who refuse the booster entry to large venues and quarantine-free international travel. Health Secretary Sajid Javid is said to be a strong proponent of the plan to revive the UK's stalling booster programme. And a government source told the newspaper the Prime Minister is very open to it. Both Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance were supportive. This is about incentivising people to get their jabs. I'm sorry, to try and spin shutting folk out of parts of society for refusing a medical procedure that does come with side effects has nothing to do with incentivising. It's coercion, pure and simple. As I said yesterday, Boris Johnson was completely right to resist the pressure from the hysterics, Javid, Gove, Whitty, Vallance, Ferguson, and avoid shutting down the country any further over Christmas and the New Year. Now it's time for him to stand up to the constant illiberal measures that are determined to introduce, really, I think, in a bid to divide society between the jabbed and the unjabbed. As Professor Sir Andrew Pollard, head of the JCVI, bravely said this week, very soon boosters in this country should be reserved for the vulnerable anyway. The Prime Minister's focus must be on a path to normality. Leave the authoritarian approach to Ardern, Trudeau and Macron Boris. You've got to be better than them.